ഈ കോവിഡ് കാലത്ത് രോഗങ്ങൾ അകറ്റൂ, ആരോഗ്യം സംരക്ഷിക്കൂ. Tiara SS water tanks. Live up your class.
It is one thing about Kurvachan, about Kaduva. If either of those two guys had said sorry to each other, there would be no film. The story would have been over. Kaduva takes it from one level to the other, and this guy gives it back at another level. So it keeps escalating into a war. It is like two bulls banging each other. But I didn't realize that we are actually going to shoot the climax among real bulls. We are shooting a massive fight sequence 6 or 7 nights after every shot because we get along so well. We are sitting, chatting like brothers. Action! Jumping and pouncing and tearing up each other, smashing each other into things. You know, like in Hindi, we have a word tucker. It was proper tucker. Prithviraj to me is the Malayalam version of a young Kamal Haasan. He's able to do real performance like say Janaganamana, and he's able to do a larger than life character like Kaduva. In Hindi, even in Tamil, you don't have that freedom, at least in the big star movies. You can't. The beauty of Malayalam cinema is you can play. Unfortunately, we are not able to distribute it widely in Hindi. Otherwise, I think that Kaduva would have been a blockbuster in Hindi and Prithviraj would have been the next big southern star. And I feel that he's just at the beginning of his superstardom. I think he will become a pan-India star very soon. When Raju called me and he said, bro, I really want you to do this film for me. I said, okay, come, let's sit down, let's do a narration. He said, bro, I can't come because I'm shooting. So I said, why don't you just tell me the story on the phone? So first time in my career of 20 years, I took a narration on the phone. Otherwise, you never do something like that, right? At one point I said, I don't know if I'll be able to give you these dates, but he insisted. And the thing about him is I can't say no to him.
Vivek Oberoi. He's really hot in South India. Yes, after Lucifer, he's here in Kaduva. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
As the antagonist, you shine, man. Yeah? Whether it's Inside Edge or Lucifer and the trailer of Kaduva, you are there.
Firstly, thank you for the very warm welcome, and it's great to be on your show on Red Carpet. It's definitely considered to be one of the best shows in southern India, so it's an honor for me also to be here and to connect with all your wonderful viewers watching this. Like you said, the antagonist, it's a lot of fun playing these grey complex characters, you know, complex characters like in Lucifer with Lal Leighton, with Prithvi directing it, and now Prithvi is acting in Kaduva, and Shaji Kailas, one of the legendary directors.
He's a very big commercial director.
He's huge, and Kaduva was the thought process itself was to do something slightly larger than life and have fun with it. Two men, you know, like testosterone boosting men, like bulls, you know, clashing against each other. It was a lot of fun.
And you excel in these kind of macho roles?
I think it has its space. I do enjoy other challenging roles, softer roles, very honest and simpler characters also are fun to play. But what I loved, or what I tried to achieve with the help of Jeenu, the writer, and with Shaji Chetan, I tried to bring to my character Joseph a duality, right? So rather than making him a simplistic antagonist, right, made him the hero of his own world. So I worked towards his relationship with his mother, for example. It's a very beautiful and strong relationship. His relationship with his wife, with his child, with his children. He's a good father. He's a good husband. He's not somebody who drinks alcohol, has affairs with other women. He's a nice guy.
He's a good cop.
He's basically a God-fearing Christian. He's a good cop. He's a good fellow all round.
In Malayalam, we'll say, call it a Pala Achayan.
Pala Achayan, I like the word.
A beautiful way they put it, that Christian, you know, background and the roots are there.
And so all of that is there. It is one thing about Kurvachan, about Kaduva, that offends him. It is just that one thing. It sparks. It's like a spark. If either of those two guys had said sorry to each other, there would be no film. It would have been over. The story would have been over. The thing is, men, unlike women, have very big egos. And once you are men in power, whether it's the power of system, whether it's the power of money, whether it's power of fame, it's like a drug. That ego mixed with that power, it'll make you do all kinds of things. And I think Joseph starts to take decisions using his power, his position, for a personal reason. And Kaduva, takes it from one level to the other, and this guy gives it back at another level. So it keeps escalating into a war. What would have been a simple, superficial issue, something you could have just sorted like that, ends up becoming an all-out war between these two guys. And that was interesting to play. Because he has his own side, he has his own reason, he has his own understanding. It's not just frivolous.
I think the characterization is very strong.
Yeah.
And the writers have done a wonderful job.
Yeah.
And both Prithviraj and your role are equally, they're perfect foils to each other.
Yeah. I mean, because it's a larger than life commercial film, you have one as the hero, one as the villain, which is a typical format. But when you see the movie, if you decide in your mind and you say, wait, hold on, I want to see this movie from Joseph's perspective, you will come out saying, he's right. He didn't do anything wrong. It was because he started it. Kaduva started it. That's why Joseph did this. You can actually look at it, and that's the smartness of that writing. Unfortunately, in Hindi, even in Tamil, you don't have that freedom, at least in the big star movies. You can't.
No.
Because of that idolization, you feel, no, how can this be? The beauty of Malayalam cinema is you can play. You can do all these things and get away with it. And that's why I enjoy it.
The characters with shades of grey,
Correct, yes.
I mean, they have justified in the story.
Correct. Like Lal Aiton in Lucifer.
Yeah.
Right? So you're not always doing the right thing or taking the right decisions. Maybe the
I
overall
think
goal.
Lucifer was one of your best movies.
Thank you.
No,
it was a
because,
difficult character. It's a very, very dark character. I remember.
Very dirty character.
Correct.
But the way it came out on screen, the natural process, the way.
And it is supposed to shock you. It is supposed to surprise you. See, when Raju called me, he called me and I was shooting, he was shooting. He was shooting somewhere in Manali, in Himachal. And he said, bro, I really want you to do this film for me. So I said, okay, come, let's sit down, let's do a narration. He said, bro, I can't come because I'm shooting. So I said, why don't you just tell me the story on the phone? So first time in my career of 20 years, I took a narration on the phone. Otherwise, you never do something like that, right? You're going to decide. On the phone itself, I liked it and I started discussing with him. I said, Raju, we should play Bobby like somebody who's so stylish, so cool, so much panache and style and so much class that you'll never expect what is behind that class to be so evil or so, dirty. And that was the fun combination of the two, As an actor, I keep trying to do that.
The human relationship also played a very important role in that movie.
Like his relationship with Manju, my character with Manju, my wife in the film, was a very interesting one. You see a relationship where she thinks he is the greatest thing that has happened to her, to the culmination of the relationship realizing she is married to the devil.
The devil incarnation.
So that is the fun part of playing with these characters.
How are the action scenes in Kaduva?
Yeah,
because the trailer looks fantastic.
Outstanding. I think Prithvi, I'm very proud of him. He's like a younger brother to me. We have transcended, the relationship has become so much like a family that it was very difficult for me to pull out the dates for Kaduva. Because of COVID, everything moved. And at one point I said, I don't know if I'll be able to give you these dates. But he insisted. And the thing about him is I can't say no to him. So we did it, and the kind of action he has done in the film is amazing. And Kanal Kannan, who's an old friend of mine, who's one of the most talented action directors, combined with Shaji Chetan, the kind of action we shot for the climax was crazy. So remember I told you, it was like two bulls banging each other. But I didn't realize that we are actually going to shoot the climax among real bulls. So we shot that climax over 6 or 7 nights. All night, every night, we were shooting the massive fight sequence. Huge scale. We were shooting that in Kerala. And it was massive. We were smashing things, banging each other. And after every shot, because we get along so well, we were sitting, chatting like brothers. Action! Jumping and pouncing and tearing up each other, smashing each other into things. But it was good, like in Hindi, we have a word tucker. It was proper tucker, and that was fun.
Have you watched Vikram?
I haven't. I want to watch it actually. I've been hearing so much about it. I'm so happy for Kamal sir, after so long, he's doing what we all loved watching him doing. I'm not sure, but I think I'm not sure, but I think, is it the same Vikram that he had made many, many years ago?
No.
Is it based on the same film or is it brand new?
Brand name.
But it's the same character.
Yeah.
It's an extension of the character.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like what Tom Cruise did with Top Gun after many, many years.
many.
I'm a big fan of Kamal sir's work, and I'm so happy that he's doing so well, and I definitely want to see Vikram in the theatres.
So the Kaduva type of movies addresses the audience.
Correct. I think, unfortunately, we have not had the chance. I was telling Prithvi after watching Kaduva, such a good movie, we were not able to distribute it widely in Hindi. Otherwise, I think that Kaduva would have been a blockbuster in Hindi, and Prithviraj would have been the next big southern star to become a national star, because he's phenomenal in the film. I think this is one of his most amazing, larger-than-life performances. Prithviraj, to me, is the Malayalam version of a young Kamal Hassan.
Okay. Yeah.
He is somebody who has the potential to act, direct, understand cinema in a holistic way, is able to do a very subtle, genuine, real performance like, say, Jana Gana Mana. And he's able to do a larger-than-life character like Kaduva. He's able to do the whole
He's a
spectrum.
perfect mix of artist and the star.
So if you remember Kamal sir, he was able to do, what was the original version of Sadma?
Moonambre.
Moonambre. So he was able to do that also, and he was able to do Billa. No, Billa was Rajni sir.
Yeah.
He was able to do Saglagala Vallavan. So he was able to do the whole end of the spectrum.
So that's what you feel.
Yeah, I think that's what is Prithviraj's USP. And I feel that he's just at the beginning of his superstardom.
Okay.
I think he will become a pan-India star very soon.
Will you be working with him again?
Anytime he calls me. See, with people like Prithviraj, like, okay, when I do a movie in the South, if you look at money, and if you look at effort, the effort is more. Because I am trying to communicate in a language that does not come naturally to me, right? Hindi is very easy for me. But if I have to do in Tamil, I have double the homework. Because I'm very particular. I don't do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I don't like doing that. I don't like just mumbo jumbo. I like to learn the lines. I like to understand the pauses. I sit with the assistants. I go through everything. And I do my homework. I feel if you're going to shoot in somebody else's language, you must give that language the love and respect it deserves. Every language should be given the respect it deserves. So I work very hard. Money side, I make more money doing Hindi any day. But it is purely the love and fascination for the kind of subjects, the discipline and the work environment in South India that I like to do South Indian movies. So when a Prithviraj calls me, it may not be commercially as much as I make in Hindi. It may be twice the effort as I have to do in Hindi. But I will still come and do it.
Your mom is from South?
She is from Chennai, yes. My father is a Punjabi married to a girl from Chennai. I'm again a Punjabi married to a girl from Bangalore. So I think the men in our family love the women of South India.
What about the influence of the streaming platforms, OTT in Hindi? You have lovely series.
Yeah.
And including the series that you are
Yes,
doing.
of course,
All the
yes.
series that you have come up.
Yes.
Is there audience have moved away from the theatres to the streaming platforms?
It will happen everywhere. It will happen even in Tamil audiences. It will happen in Telugu watching audiences. It will happen in Malayalam watching audiences. It is bound to happen. I feel there will be a little unsettling period where you will lose a lot of audience to the streaming platforms and the theatres will suffer a little bit. But I feel that it will eventually be divided into two kinds of viewing. Social viewing, where you go with groups, friends, your wife, a date, and you go and watch a movie in a theatre and have the whole experience of theatre. The popcorn, the going,
Theatre
all of that.
experience will survive.
And the second will be the OTT experience, which will be more for your self-consumption. Today, even today, number of OTT subscribers watching on their mobile devices rather than the smart TV is much higher. Which basically says to me that OTT is a more personal experience. I'll put my headphones on, I'll put my phone up, I could be going to work. I could be taking a break at work. I could be traveling in a train. And I'm watching on OTT and I'm catching up stuff. What is going to mean for films is two things. One is theatres have to be very sensible about the economics of theatres. If you keep making it more and more and more and more expensive as tickets go up higher, you're making it more out of reach. And that person, he may just turn around and say, I'll watch it for free on OTT because I'm paying barely maximum 1,000 rupees for subscription in a year. That's a maximum. So why should I go and spend 300 rupees, 400 rupees to watch one movie? If I go, I won't go alone. I'll take my wife, I'll take my family. That's 1,000 rupees for one film. I'd rather just take an OTT subscription and watch it 1 month later. What's the problem? So the die-hard fans will also start feeling the pinch. I think the biggest problem with theatres in India is we don't have enough distribution per capita. So if you look at China, we don't even have maybe 1/6 or 1/7 of their
China
screens.
has 40,000 theatres also. We have about 10,000.
You're still talking about theatres.
Screens.
Imagine the screens. Number of screens and the penetration of screens in America, in China, all these places is so much more. We need to achieve larger number of screens. We are at least short by, I feel, 2 to 3 times the number of screens. If you make those economics work, new screens, inexpensive, if government charges so much tax on cinema, on theatres. Imagine if the government was to put that to support the film industry and to support the arts and crafts, not just unanimously saying you can't increase the price from this much. That's a populist idea. If I would say the real support would be like how they have done in China, put up exhibition units yourself. You own the land, put up screens everywhere. Show films, make money from the films, let that money go to government also. That's tax-free returns for them. Like we pay a share for theatres, we can pay rental or share for government theatres. And government can show educational films also in times where commercial films are not going on. They can do upskilling classes. They can use that same infrastructure for so many things.
What is your next big venture in South India?
Nothing right now. I haven't planned anything in South India right now because...
Are you getting feelers from anybody?
Oh yeah, I get calls all the time, I get offers all the time. But for me, when I leave the comfort of Hindi and come to another language, I need to feel that same love and comfort working with somebody. When I worked with Ramcharan, he took care of me like this, When I worked with Ajit Anna, he took care of me personally. So it was such a wonderful experience, working with him. Sandil, who was the producer, Siva, who was the director. They really treated me so nicely. When I work with Prithviraj, I don't have to think of anything. I just close my eyes. I don't even know tomorrow where we are going, what the schedule is. Right? I've left it to them. They take care of me like that. So I prefer working with people who have that relationship with, who have that comfort with.
So you have to have a wavelength with the producers and the actors.
That doesn't mean I'll never work with somebody. I remember when Shankar sir got in touch with me for a project some time back, I just wanted to do it because it was Rajni sir and I'd never worked with him. And I said, one day I want to just be in the same frame as him. Because somewhere, aside from the star I am today, I'm also a fan who grew up watching Rajni sir. So someday I'd love to do a film with him at some point, right? Chiranjeevi sir. I'd love to do a film with him at some point, be in the same frame with a legend like him. So from that perspective, of course, Kamal sir. I've never worked with Kamal sir.
Did you go with Ajit sir in his bike?
Yeah, I did actually. We were overseas and we went, while we were shooting the Serbia schedule, we went riding. He's a fantastic rider. He's really, really amazing.
What type of food do you like?
I love South Indian food. Because my memory of good food is when I come home and my mother makes really nice, fresh South Indian food. When the dosa batter has been done. Even my wife, she does a great job. So whether it's making fresh dosas, whether it's making that proper typical coconut chutney. Here, when I come, my mother's elder sister, my Perima, she makes the world's best pal kolam. And that taste is something else. My mouth is watering right now. So generally to go to her.
What about Punjabi food, man?
I like Punjabi food, but personally I prefer South Indian food. I think the flavors, the kind of options that you get, like if you go to Karnataka, my favorite is bisibelle.
Bisibelebad.
So I love that bisibelle bath. Here, if you go to different parts itself, you'll find different types of idlis. You can have maybe 16 or 17 different kinds of idlis, with the kind of, and dosas. So I remember when I was shooting with Manianna for Yuva, we went to Sarvanabhavan over here, and literally I told him I want to go to the original place, the authentic location, and eat with everybody. He said there'll be a crowd. I said no problem, let's go. And we actually sat in Sarvanabhavan and ate. So that taste and flavor of the local food is something else.
Why is it that post-COVID, the Hindi cinema, that's Bollywood as it's known, is not commercially doing as well as the South Indian cinema, which you are also part of? What's your reason? What would you say?
I think in any relationship, if you take the other person for granted, the relationship is bound to fail. In a marriage, if a husband takes the wife for granted, doesn't appreciate her, doesn't care about what the wife wants, the marriage is going to get into a divorce. Bollywood is right now having trouble in their marriage with the audience. Somewhere, we have taken the audience for granted, unfortunately. You have to give the audience the same love and respect they give you. They make us. The audience, the fans, they make us who we are. They are financing our dreams. The ability to go and make these great movies is being financed by them, ticket by ticket. Our existence as stars is because of them. If we are the stars, they are the light that make us sparkle. And we have forgotten that. So if you forget it, there's a problem. We were talking about Rohit Shetty 2 minutes ago. He makes a Suryavanshi. And it becomes a blockbuster. It does 200, 300, whatever, 250, 300 crores business. I don't remember exactly how much, but globally blockbuster. He is constantly aware, committed, dedicated, and concerned about what his audience expects, what the fans want. I think that is very, very strong in Southern cinema. Whether it's Tamil cinema, whether it's Telugu cinema, they have the humility, not the arrogance to take the audience for granted, but the humility to understand what their audience wants and the humility to accept when the audience rejects. With a bowed head, they say, we are sorry we disappointed you. We'll come back, we'll try better next time. We are unfortunately making the same mistake again and again and again in Hindi.
But what you are saying is that Hindi cinema lost its way because it was making a particular genre type of movies, which would some people say it's a multiplex type of movies, but they were not addressing the mass audiences in Tier 2 and Tier 3 towns.
It's not just that. I mean, you could make a film that is meant for mass, but don't make it well. Then what? You're trying to rinse and repeat. You're not trying to innovate. You're not trying to come up with something new, something different. And you look at KGF, it works because it's new, it's different. I mean, there's so many claptraps.
KGF and RRR. They worked. How did it work in interior northern India?
Yeah, it worked because at the end of the day, a story is a story is a story. People in Russia and Turkey, when I travel, have seen my movies that I made in 2002, 3, 4 and say, oh, we loved that movie. If I ask, how did it work in Russia? How is Inside Edge being watched all over the world? How is Satya dubbed in
Vivekam is one of the most watched movies because it's dubbed in Hindi.
There you go. So the kind of fan following that we have is there. They'll still watch it. It just needs to be an entertaining cinema. Today, Squid Game is a Korean show. But it's the most watched show on Netflix. How? Because Netflix doesn't have the maximum audience in Korea. They have a global audience. In India also Squid Game got watched. In America also it got watched. How come? How come people went crazy about Squid Game and not any other show? You know what I'm saying? So I think it's about how well you make a story, how engaging it is, and how committed you are to that story. If you start looking at it purely as projects, oh, let's just do this and do this and do this and make it and package it and just, this is the money, this is the film, that is not going to work with an audience. An audience is connected to you by heart. You can't connect to them by mind and by wallet. You have to connect by heart.
Fantastic talking to you and all the best for Kaduva.
Pleasure. Thank you so much.
ഈ കോവിഡ് കാലത്ത് രോഗങ്ങൾ അകറ്റൂ, ആരോഗ്യം സംരക്ഷിക്കൂ. TRS വാട്ടർ ടാങ്ക്സ്. ലീവ് അപ്പ് യുവർ ക്ലാസ്.